double crochet. We're starting off with a double crochet into a chain, and here I have 12 chains. I'm going to make a row of 10 double crochet. So when you do that, you need to chain however many stitches, however many chains you want to have in your stitches, 10 plus 2 more, which makes 12. Okay, now what we're going to do is place a stitch marker around the last chain that we made. Okay, so I'm kind of getting it just around 2 of those 3 loops that are in a chain. There's the 2 top loops and then the bottom loop or the bottom bump. So you want to make sure you get that around the chain so it's not going to move. And now what we're going to do is make our first double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook, because these first 3 chains are actually going to count as our first double crochet. So we're actually making our second one. What we're going to do now is yarn over, insert the hook into the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, there's number 4. And we're going to go through just the back loop of that chain and then yarn over, pull through just the chain. Now there are 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 of the loops. There's 2 loops left on our hook. Yarn over, pull through those last 2, and that made a double crochet. It actually counts as our second double crochet. This stitch marker that we put in here is marking the top of our first double crochet. We need that when we come back, work all the way back on the row. We need to know where the next row will end. Yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop. There's 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. There's our next double crochet. We're going to keep doing that across this row. Okay. Here we have completed our first row, and you'll see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 double crochets plus this chain 3 that was counting as double crochet number 10. I don't normally like using this chain 3 as a turning double crochet. I just want to make sure you know how to do it. I'm going to now show you how to do a standing double crochet, which is also known as a stacked single crochet, or if you look in the vintage crochet books, I have a bunch of them, I love them, you'll see that this is traditionally called a double chain, and there are 2 of them that we're going to make, which would make it a double chain 2. But it's a great way to start a row of double crochet without having to start with the chain 3. It fills in the space bigger because the chain 3 is skinny, and it's also easier to work in when you make your next row. So to make your next row, I like to remove my hook, turn my work, put my hook back in again, and now for that double chain 2, what I'm going to do is insert my hook into the first stitch of the row, so underneath both loops of the first stitch of the row. Yarn over, pull up a loop. There are now 2 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull through both loops. And I know you're going to say, that's a single crochet. You're right, it is. That's how it starts. Now you see how we have these 2 legs almost that come off of this loop on our hook. We want to go to the one that is farthest away from our hook. Here's the one right next to the hook. Here's the one farthest away. Insert your hook underneath just the front of the leg farthest from your hook. Yarn over, pull through that. So now you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through both of those. That is a double chain 2. So it's really a thick chain is all that it is. Now we want to go ahead and mark this so we know where the next row, when we make our row after this, where it ends. I'm going to put this stitch marker on the very top of the double chain 2. So this loop that's coming off of the loop on our hook, that's where we put our stitch marker, and that's how we know that is the top of the first stitch of our row. going to make just regular old double crochets all the way across. So we yarn over, insert the hook under both loops of the next stitch. See that? Both loops of the next stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop. There are 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. There's now 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through both of those. And we're going to keep doing that all the way across. We're at the point where we can see our marked stitch. We're going to yarn over, insert the hook into the marked stitch. That marker will help us know exactly where to place the hook. And this one is a bit of the pain. Like I said, it's kind of annoying to have to do this into a chain, which is why we used the other way of turning on the next row. All right, there we go. I got it through that. Yarn over, pull up the loop, 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now we're going to take off this stitch marker. Now we turn our work, remove the hook, spin the work around, put the hook back in, and now I'm going to make that double chain 2, or what we also call a starting double crochet or a stacked single crochet. So insert the hook in the first stitch under both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and now we're going to insert our hook under the farther away of these 2 legs here, these 2 little loops here. We're inserting our hook under the farther away one, yarn over, pull up a loop, so there's 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2. That is our double chain 2 or starting double crochet. And now I'm going to take my stitch marker and put it on the top of that stitch. So the loop that's coming off of the loop on the hook, not the loop on the hook, the one that comes off of it. There we go, right there. That is the top of the stitch we just made. Now we're going to double crochet across this row the same way we did in the previous row. Here we've gotten to the end of the row. You can see the next stitch we would like to place a double crochet in has a marker in it, and that is perfect. That's how we know we're hitting the end of the row. So we're going to place our last double crochet in that marked stitch. So go ahead and do that. We're just yarning over, inserting the hook into the marked stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and there we go, the very last double crochet of the row. You see how nice and straight that was, and it's so much easier to go into that stitch than it was to go into the turning chain, right? So here we go. You can see we have 3 rows of double crochet, and these are nice and straight, and there's not the holes at the beginning of these like you see where we used the turning chain there. All right, if you wanted to use the double chain 2 in place of this turning chain here, and we want a total of 10 double crochet, what I actually do is I chain 11 and I put the first double chain 2 in the second chain from the hook. So I have almost like one little turning chain when I put that on a chain. Which is how it's a little bit different than when you do it in an established stitch. So I would chain 11, make the double chain 2 in the second chain from the hook, and then make a regular double crochet in the remaining 9 chains, and that would help us not have this little hole right here. All right, so there you go, 3 pretty rows of double crochet. We're going to start a new round of double crochet. So to begin, we want to mark the last double crochet we made in this round. Now we're going to join to the first double crochet we made in this round. There are 2 different ways that I will do that. One way is to slip stitch to join, where you insert your hook under both of the top loops of the stitch you're joining into. You then yarn over and pull through everything, and that gives you a slip stitch to join. All right, that is the most common way to join a round. Now, the way that I also will do sometimes is an invisible join. To do that, here we are back ready to join our round. And what I will do is remove my crochet hook from the active loop. I'm going to insert my hook under just the back loop only of the stitch I'm joining into, grab the active loop from my last stitch again, pull that through that back loop of the stitch we're joining to, and now that's going to be my join, which is going to make me able to work through both of these loops for the first stitch. So to begin the new round, I need to make a standing double crochet. All right, to do that, it's the same way as I did when I worked in the rows. You do the same thing. I'm going to insert my hook under both loops of this first stitch. Okay, now that I've done that, it's really safe to remove the stitch marker here. Yarn over, pull up a loop. So there's 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. We're making this double chain 2, so now we're going to go under the farther away leg here, yarn over, pull up a loop. There's 2 loops on my hook again, yarn over, pull through both loops, and now we have that doubled chain 2. I'm going to place a stitch marker at the top of that stitch, so when we work around, I know that is where I'm joining to, the top of the stitch. And now we just make double crochets all the way around, and then we'll join again when we get all the way around. This stitch marker is showing us that we are at the last stitch of the round, so I'm going to go ahead and make my last double crochet in there. And I can remove the stitch marker. There we go. Make that last double crochet of the round. And now it is time to join to the first one. So again, you can do the slip stitch to join by inserting your hook under both of the top loops, yarning over, pull through everything, and that is a slip stitch to join. You would then go ahead and make your first stitch of the next round right into here, unless your pattern says otherwise. I am going to use the invisible join here. I take my hook out of my active loop, insert my hook through under the back loop only of the stitch I'm joining to, grab the active loop back onto my hook, pull that up through the middle of that stitch, the first stitch, the one we're joining to, and now I'm going to make my doubled chain 2, also known as a standing double crochet or a stacked single crochet. To do that, again, we just go ahead and insert the hook under both loops of the first stitch of the round, and now I can remove this stitch marker. Yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through both loops, and now I'm going to insert my hook under the farther away of these 2 little bars that are coming off of my the loop on my hook here, so the one that's farther away, there we go. Yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over through both loops, and that is my standing double crochet or double chain 2 or stacked single crochet, all the same thing. Putting my stitch marker on the top of that hook, and I did forget to put the stitch marker on the top of the very last double crochet that I made, so that was right there. Okay, now these will help us when we're finishing off this round, and now we're just going to keep on going around like we did before. So another round of double crochets, the last one will go here, and we join up here. That's all it takes.